Welcome, and we're back. No stream last night, but we are live tonight, and just a price action stream tonight. I feel like there's been so many giveaways and guest speakers, and I appreciate all of that a lot, but we haven't really talked about a lot of charts in a while, so just going to be packing tonight's stream with price action, patterns, my thoughts on everything. We're going to be starting off with crypto, then we'll be talking about some other markets, then I'll talk about the stock market, and we're going to be doing some individual names tonight. I will have time to do take requests. We haven't done those in, I think, like weeks. I've been bad with it, but yeah, get ready for all of that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we are in a very interesting time. If you watched the last stream, we talked about some more like longer time frame stuff where you're getting these mega bearish patterns forming for the overall market. But that's just like more long-term stuff. If you watch the actual stream, I was also talking about like the short-term stuff and how the SPY was like testing that key level, and it ended up bouncing off of it pretty nicely between yesterday and today. So we were talking about this level over here, this 390 level on the last stream, which was Tuesday night, Used to be resistance, now it is support. You ended up bouncing off of it, kind of got a double bottom too. And then you rallied up into this area. I'm going to talk about what all of this means when we get to the market. Futures are also up very nicely tonight, so we're going to talk about all that. But before we get to that, let's start off with Bitcoin, which is retesting the big $20,000 or $19,000 level. So if we really zoom out here on Bitcoin, you can see this is starting to get very, very real. And I don't know, I feel like Bitcoin's really done nothing since June. So it's done nothing in a pretty long time. It went up, but now it's just back to the same price it was. I really think that now you're at the pattern completion zone of this huge, literally from the COVID crash low to all-time highs, bullish cipher for the second time. You have that PCZ yet again. Your MACD is getting very close to green, as you can see over here. And then on top of that, even just more shorter term, it kind of looks like a potential double bottom if you start reversing soon. And then this longer term channel I've also drawn out, so you can just really bounce anywhere in these areas. That would be very optimal. And yeah, so we're just waiting for the price action. That's how the daily looks. Let's go take a look at the weekly actually, which looks kind of similar, nothing really too different. That head and shoulders we talked about in the beginning of the year played out insanely well. And yeah, I mean, you broke down from the massive head and shoulders pattern, and then you kind of went right down to that previous cycle top from 2017, and now you're just testing that. So I think really, if you want to simplify things, it's like you bounce here, probably at some point you can go back up towards that upper $20,000 region. You can't bounce here, your next level is like 14K from these highs in the 2014, or sorry, the 2019 run. So these are like the three huge levels. You're kind of at the middle one, and really whatever you do here is probably going to decide which level you go to next in time. And that's really it. I mean, you can take a look at this whole entire sell-off as like one larger. I'm going to kind of delete this head and shoulders now, that's already played out. If we were to look at the whole entire sell-off from the all-time highs down to where we are right now, it's like one larger pattern. It's just one massive wedge. And since your all-time highs that were not even a year ago, you are now down over 70%. So if there's any time for an asset to reverse to the upside after losing 70% of its value in less than a year, maybe it's when you're back testing previous highs as support for the second time in the last few months at the pattern completion zone of a bullish cipher. And if it's not, then it's very clear the risk management would be, you know, basically you break under these lows, all that stuff fails, and then your next level is 14K. So that's how I'm looking at it for right now. Ethereum, it looked like it was breaking down, but it never really confirmed the breakdown off this bear flag, so it's still kind of within it. This does look pretty like interesting if we delete everything here. It's like you had this head and shoulders forming, but you never really broke down from it. So now you're just kind of, you bounced off the neckline, now you're just kind of rallying up a bit. It kind of reminds me of what we're going to look at next, which is the US 10-year, which also had a very similar looking head and shoulders pattern earlier, and it broke down for a little bit and then it just went back up. So it's simply not what you see on a head and shoulders, but that is what happened. And yeah, the US 10-year is back above major resistance. If we zoom out on the weekly, you are currently well above your highs, not only from 2018, but also from 2014. So you're getting this big breakout on the US 10-year. It's really a decade-long pattern that you're breaking out of, this right angle descending broadening wedge. And we'll see how that affects things over the next few months. Then you also have crude oil, which did break down from a bear flag, and that breakdown's been playing out very nicely. There was also hidden bearish divergence. Again, shout out to Undershot for the indicator. But also, I didn't even know if we talked about this. You had this big bearish engulfing candle breakdown of this $85 support level, which used to be resistance last November, and it was support this August. You broke down from that on the 7th, which was yesterday. So another breakdown. This might, you know, let gas prices fall a little bit more. If we kind of look at this as one large harmonic that's potentially forming, you know, the BAT PCZ area would be in that lower $70 range. So we'll see if it drops down to that area, but that's really all it's doing for right now. And then we have metals, which are starting to shift a little bit. Let me clear all this up from before. I mean, this is a potential dragon pattern where you have now your second low being potentially formed. off of that 1670 level, which is a very strong support back from last year. And then if we look at silver, it's kind of like a down sloping channel. I've already charted out. Your MACD just flipped over to green, but like more short term on silver kind of does look a little bit of a bear flag is forming there, as you can see, but we'll see what happens. We also have dollar currency index, which is starting to pull back a little bit. You have some classic bearish divergence. You made a higher high on price, a lower high on the MACD, and now you also got this bearish engulfing candle at the top, and you're retesting this resistance from the end of August and the beginning or the middle of July. And if you break down from that, then you really don't have support to like the lower 106, 105 area. Even on top of all that, you're kind of breaking down from this upsloping channel, rising wedge. So the dollar currency index is actually breaking down right now, short term. If we go over to the long term and we go over to the monthly chart, actually, you already had a massive breakout. So, you know, let's just say like even if this breakdown were to play out like insanely well, just for you to backtest would be all the way down over here at 103 to backtest these highs that you broke out of on the monthly time frame. Every single candle here is a full month of price action. So, you know, yeah, like short term this could help out with the dollar currency index falling, but longer term, like it can only give you a back test, and you already have multiple supports but before that 102 level and even the 200-day moving average. So that's the other markets. Also haven't looked at the Hang Seng Index in a while, or really any Chinese stocks in a while, but it looks like it's pretty much at the same lows it was. So the Hang Seng Index continuing to vastly underperform most other global markets, and it's retesting its lows of the year. Really nothing else to say apart from that. Let's just clear all this up. I mean, I have a lot of random patterns here. We're gonna look at this all as just something together. I mean, if anything, this was like a triangle pattern and it broke down, and now that's playing out. But I just probably focus on the next support level, which is around 18,256. So those are your other markets. Let's talk about the US stock market now, which bounced off the trend line / demand line that we were talking about on Tuesday. So if you watch that stream, we were talking about, first of all, the longer term bearish stuff on the SPY, which is still there. The hidden bearish divergence on the weekly, the potential for this bullish bat to kind of form if you continue to sell off. And that's, again, this is very speculative. You'd pretty much have to crash. You'd have to have an actual crash in the market for that bearish bat to be completed. But you've already worked on like 3 of the pivot points for the bearish bat. And then even apart from that, we were talking about how you were testing the breakdown. But I did mention a couple of things on that stream as well, more short-term stuff. So longer term bearishness is kind of still there from a technical standpoint. But the shorter term stuff we talked about was the lower Bollinger Band, and then also this hidden bullish divergence forming on the daily. So you did have both of those variables play out alongside a 1 hour. I kind of changed my chart now to a bear flag. You did have a 1 hour breakout. And I believe yesterday and today I shared calls in premium for the SPY. Speaking of, I mean, I think it's like an 8-win streak right now. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, these are actually, no, that's the last 7. I didn't share the new one today, but basically this is like 7 of the last 8 options I've alerted in premium. These actually went up 150% from yesterday. And then the ones today, which you can't see here, they'd be like over here. They went up, I think, like 50%. Yeah, so you know, I was talking about that more longer term bear stuff when we had Zeke on the stream, but there had been some variables short term that led me to alert calls, such as a potential double bottom, that breakout. Even on the 30-minute today, I charted a breakout like this. I send in the chat. So you got some more short term stuff going on. Futures are up quite a bit. NASDAQ futures are up over 1%. If those hold into the morning, then you would actually be gapping above a very important area. So this is actually what I charted earlier today that I wanted to bring up on the stream. And this is all based off where you closed at. After hours, it's not going to show you because the futures are up, but after hours you are above that zone. So if you gap up tomorrow, you're above it. But basically, you can see this blue triangle I charted out over here. Basically, this blue triangle I personally declared as my no trade zone for the SPY, because it's in this area where either it breaks down from this upsloping channel / bear flag, or it breaks above this 401 resistance zone. You can see it was support over here, resistance over here, resistance over here, resistance over here. So my overall plan that I figured out, like just for myself today, not financial advice, is going long if we break above this zone, and then going short if we break under this upsloping channel you've been in. The thing now though is you've had quite the nice move on futures, so if you do gap up tomorrow morning and you just get above that zone, it kind of defeats the purpose of the breakout trade, and then you have to worry about the gap getting filled from a gap up, so it just kind of messes up that whole entire thing. So I was hoping for kind of flat futures so we can have this price action develop intraday tomorrow, and then I could see which way it breaks, whether good or bad, but we'll see what happens. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the futures do kind of settle down and then we do open flat. We'll see what happens in the morning, but this is something I was kind of charting out earlier today. And then if we go down to even lower time frames of price action today, let me actually go down to over here. Over here, you pretty much gapped down in the morning today, and then you just ran up to the gap fill. You pulled back a little bit off the initial test of the gap fill, and then you eventually ended up breaking well above it. The calls I alerted today were right over here, right on this candle around 10:35, because it was breaking above these highs from yesterday, and pretty much those calls went up in this period. And then you had a pretty quick sell-off, and you pretty much created this triangle pattern throughout the rest of the day where you broke out of it, but right before the close. So, I mean, it's kind of weird. I did actually share this in premium as well, as you can see over here. But like, as I was charting, I didn't even realize the market was about to close. And it kind of sucks when you have those huge patterns on the 5-minute only finish right before the close, because then the market's closing. It's like, well, you can't really day trade it. I mean, you could after hours, but typically there's not that much movement unless there's a day like today, which you actually did get the movement, and you're currently seeing the movement on those futures after hours. So I guess this is kind of playing out throughout the night. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, those are your lower time frames for the SPY. If we go over to the 4-hour, you can again see that 390 level I've been talking about all week. Huge level. You were able to bounce off of it. I mean, going back to Tuesday, it looked so weak. It looked like, if we just look at this first 4-hour candle, or yeah, the first 4-hour candle of the week, you literally had a candle close under that support level, and it was a bearish engulfing candle too. So it was kind of a little bit of a fake breakdown in hindsight, and you've been rallying ever since that breakdown failed. And now you're testing this resistance zone in this 401 area, and if you break that, the next one, as you can see that I have, is around 405. So that's really the price action for the SPY. Overall, if I were to just give a fun prediction, let me build a suspense and sip a little bit of tea first. If I were to give a fun prediction for the market, again, this could change by my next stream based on whatever happens, but just from what I'm seeing right now, I don't trust this rally. I don't. Also, we broke under a very critical zone of resistance in this 405 to 410 area. I mean, well, it was support, but now it is resistance. We broke under that. You know, maybe we have a little bit more room in this rally, especially looking at the futures, but, you know, I overall think, even if we were to rally up here, I think this breaks down. I think this triangle pattern breaks down. We still have those gaps that we talked about earlier in the week down over here. So I'm not going to say like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be shorting and I'm going to keep on shorting until this pattern breaks down. I just think it's going to break down. I'm not going to aggressively try and continue to short it until it breaks down. I'm just thinking that's what's going to happen, and if it does, then I'll kind of take action. That's really how I'm looking at it. Until then, I'm just probably going to be day trading. But yeah, so really the only thing that my current mindset is, like, the fact that I think this triangle will break down, it's not making me go short and make me ultra bearish, but what it is doing is preventing me from putting out swings. So I'm sure you've noticed there haven't been swings in a very long time. I literally put this in the swing updates channel yesterday. I mean, these were the swings in like July, actually August. Well, I alerted a lot of them in July, and then a lot of them played out in August, but this was like the recent round of swings. You can't even see the right ones, but all of them were green. This was like the most recent round of swings. Literally every single one of them hit targets. Apart from like a couple, there was like one in premium that just got stopped at. I think it was Lucid, but there was another one in premium that was up, I think, over 10% today. But overall, I mean, there's just not, swings are just not really it for me right now. So that's really where I'm at. I do very dearly miss it, but I just don't see the right environment for it. And I just think there's so many variables to account for that can't be accounted for as of right now. But that's really my thoughts on the SPY. The other indices are not too different. The Qs are retesting this blue zone. as you can see, was support over here and resistance over here. You broke down from it for a couple of days, now you're back within it, so it's really just a question of you get back above it or do you break back under it. You're just in it for right now. So this is more of just like a time where I'm waiting for more data, to be honest, in the overall market. You can of course like create these types of breakouts, which you are kind of getting on like those 1 hour time frames. And again, if you go watch towards the end of my last stream, I did run through a bunch of charts, which we're going to talk about later tonight, where they were setting up with 1 hour wedges. A lot of large caps actually, and a lot of them have been playing out, or at least started to play out today. But yeah, you also have hidden bullish divergence on the QQQ. This probably will confirm. I mean, I would be very surprised if you were to make a new yearly low before this MACD went green. So at some point, you know, you assume this hidden bullish divergence, maybe even soon, confirms. You get a little bit of a rally, and then depending on what the SPY does and everything else, then maybe break back down. We'll see what happens. I mean, that would kind of create like potential for this, like a ascending broadening wedge breakdown. But again, we're not even there yet. There's no need to be like talking about that really until we have a formation that sets up like that. So that's the cues. I'll look at the chat as soon as I'm done going over the market. Then the Russell 2000, I did chart this demand line on the last stream and it did bounce right off of it. Another index with hidden bullish divergence. So that's really where we're at. We sold off a lot within the last 2 weeks. We developed hidden bullish divergence on the indices. We got to the lower Bollinger Bands on the daily. We hit these trend lines on the SPY, the Russell 2000, and we're getting a bounce off of those variables. We had short-term bullish variables. We're getting a bounce with them, but I think they're going to flip back to bearish within a few days. That's just what I think, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, you're getting this bounce in the Russell 2000. I think Russell futures are actually lagging. Yeah, they're only up 1/3%, with the S&P up 3/4% and the NASDAQ up over 1%. But you're also bouncing right off this 177 level on the Russell 2000, which used to be resistance over here. So you're bouncing right off of that. Next resistance is around 188. That's a huge level because of these lows over here. So you're kind of sandwiched in between two very big levels. These lows from over here and these highs from over here. You're dead in between them. So we'll just see which one it visits first and how it reacts to that level. And then you have the ARK ETF up 3% today. We have been talking about that wedge on the stream for a while now, and it looks like it broke out of that wedge. Not today, but actually yesterday, and I wasn't live, so I didn't talk about it. But yesterday, it had a little sneaky wedge breakout with the bullish engulfing candle. Then you got the fall through price action today. So that's pretty interesting. Let me clear up this old pattern. And this is kind of your new breakout on the ARK ETF. And next resistance, you have some around 43.36, as you can see over there. And then somewhere around 46, and then even a gap fill at 47. So those are the next few levels. But here's the thing, like, these breakouts are all fun, and we're going to go look at some other charts on the 1 hour, which also have these kind of breakouts. But what if all of this just turns into bear flags, right? That's what I'm going to be looking out to see. If a lot of these breakouts turn into bear flags over the next couple of days. So that's the overall market. The VIX also was never able to get above that level we were talking about, and it went back under the 200-day moving average. Closed under it yesterday, went even lower today, but it is nearing this trend line. And apart from August, apart from the beginning of August, every single time the VIX has tapped this trend line, the market has pulled back. So it's not too far away from it. So that's what, again, that's what I'm saying. We go up a little bit more, we get these bear flags forming on the 1 hour, and then you kind of really start selling off and maybe break under that 390 level on the SPY. Those are kind of, you know, some variables that I'll be, I wouldn't say predicting, but I think it would just make a lot of sense from a technical standpoint. So that's the market. We're gonna go look at some other 1 hour charts, which I was showing on my last stream, and a lot of them have kind of played out nicely. Before I do that, let me check out the chat. Zeke saying, this dude snipes harmonics in seconds. I'm still using cheat sheets and it takes me 30 minutes. Yeah, it just comes with time. And let's see. Question, have you ever put out bearish swings? I've shared like bearish swing puts, which, you know, of the XLE ones, which was like legendary. I shared some XLE puts literally right over here, and they went up, I don't even remember how many 1,000%. But in terms of like me actually just sharing like an actual just short, Maybe like once or something I've done it, you know, like this. When not, I have like multiple targets. Maybe like once or twice I've done it, but not really that much, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot weirder to share short swings and long swings. So typically I just prefer not to share anything when I'm bearish, other than like day trades and puts and stuff like that. So yeah, but if we go over to some 1 hour charts now, on the last stream I was talking about a lot of these, and a lot of them did break out. We have Amazon over here, which broke out and even back tested the breakout. Now it's kind of back in this yellow zone in between these major gaps. You can even chart this more short term like this. You have a little bit of a triangle here developing. So you have this now on Amazon. I'm going to delete the old pattern, see which way that breaks. We also talked about Tesla on the 1 hour. That falling wedge played out pretty nicely as well. You know, maybe at this point you kind of redraw this trend line to over here, and you're now testing a new area, and then you kind of can reassess the demand line like that. So it's not like a larger wedge, a wider wedge, and now it's testing that. I have a bunch of levels charted out here as well on Tesla. I mean, there's even this gap fill down here as well. So that's like the Tesla 1 hour update. We looked at a bunch of them. I don't know if we looked at this one, but NVIDIA also broke out of a down sloping channel. It's got this gap fill, and this is something to keep an eye on. NVIDIA has this gap fill at 151, which is about 7% away. And if it can get back above this 141 level, which was your lowest from July 5th and your high from September 2nd, then there's not much resistance up until that gap fill. So this is something maybe to keep an eye on, just to see how the price action kind of forms. Even had like a little bit of a triangle breakout. And yeah, just I mean, even on top of that, you're back in this like consolidation zone from January of 2021. So it is a this is probably the biggest test for NVIDIA in a while now. If we go over to the daily, you can see I already have that support charted. I mean, if you were to break 126, you went right up from 72 to 126. If you were to break under that, there's literally nothing there until 72. So this is a huge level. I'm actually gonna move this up to the top of my watch list to keep an eye on. You might even, I don't know, this might be like an alternate bat. Yeah, this is a, let's see. This is an alternate bat harmonic on NVIDIA as well. So this is a chart to keep an eye. I didn't even realize a lot of these variables until I just looked at them on the stream. Let's see if there's anything on the 4 hour. You got a 4 hour bullish engulfing candle. Your MACD just crossed over to green after being oversold on the RSI. I mean, this is a pretty interesting setup right now. So that's NVIDIA. And then we talked about, I don't know if we talked about AMC on the last stream, but AMC also broke out of a 1 hour wedge. Again, this is what I'm saying. Let's say the market continues to rally up. If we do gap up tomorrow and we get above this yellow resistance zone, and then more stocks kind of just continue to form these bear flags, and maybe next week we break down from them. Like same thing like here, just start charting these out. Start going over all these same 1 hour charts I'm showing you, start charting the potential bear flags, and just see what happens if they do break down, what the price action looks like then. A lot of this is just looking for lines, drawing lines on charts, setting up alerts, and then when you break those lines, see what happens. That's what a lot of it is. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done, but just try to simplify it in your mind, and then you'll find a way to get it done while you're charting. That's a weird piece of advice I can give you in terms of learning how to do this. Even SOFI, 1 hour wedge breakout right off that 560 support level. It's been rallying as well. Same thing. You can just chart these potential bear flags forming. And then Apple, which pretty interestingly has been underperforming. It had this pretty rough drop around 11:30 a.m. today. 2% decline in an hour after the Apple event yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. I'd probably just redraw this supply line like that. Maybe even change this demand line up as well to like, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this, but just like a down sloping channel. And even like more short term, there's like a smaller maybe wedge forming here. But it is still above this big 151 level, as you can see from this low. I mean, even these lows from over here as well. Oh my gosh, even these highs back over here, and this high and then this low. So it's still holding above the important level, even though it was red today with most other large caps being green. Just another one to keep an eye on. And now let's talk Fisker and CLOV, which both broke out. And they're not major breakouts, all right? So they're not huge breakouts, but they are short-term breakouts. And we did kind of talk about both of the 1 hour setups there as well. CLOV, we talked about this downsloping channel. And I didn't stream last night, so this is kind of like in hindsight because the breakout's already been playing out. But it did really, we talked about this, I believe, we had to have talked about this on Tuesday. And that breakout's been playing out beautifully. It's back above the 250 level, which are these lows from over here. These lows from over here as well. Next resistance is 266, but again, you know, we've had these wedges I talked about on Tuesday night at the end of the stream playing out, but now a lot of them are starting to form into potential bear flags. So you have to kind of reassess a little bit. And it's just a question of how long can they keep going up until they break down, unless they somehow break up, which would be very crazy. If all of them did. I'm sure some of them might be able to, but... And then you also have Fisker. I shared this on Twitter today. It's been in this 1 hour wedge since the beginning of August. So for about a month, Fisker's just been creating this wedge pattern. And as of today, Fisker broke out of it after very quietly bouncing off the $8 area for the 4th time this year. So very, very interesting. All right. 4th time bouncing off the same level and getting a wedge breakout simultaneously. See what happens. The next zone of resistance is between 887 and 915. If we go over to the 4 hour chart, you have classic bullish divergence. It extended it like that. And then on the daily, take that off the daily. Let's see. A little bit of a double bottom on the RSI. I have to sneeze right now. So that's Fisker. There we go. And let's see what else. GameStop was up 7% today. I think we talked about AMC. Let me actually go back to AMC and let's talk about it on the daily. It's still testing this zone. This like mid $8 area is a huge price. Look at how it double bottomed off this area earlier this year. And what did it do? I'm pretty sure there was a swing there as well. Went up 160%. And then went back to the zone, was under it for a little bit, and then what did it do? Went up over 100%. And it used to be major resistance. So again, AMC. MACD's also waning back towards green on the daily 4 hour. It's not textbook, but you did get that MACD. It was close to hitting bullish divergence, but it made a lower low. And then again, like you could chart a lot of different shorter term breakouts. So that's AMC. GameStop was up 7% today. Another one. A lot of these breakouts starting to really form. I'm just again worried in the next couple of days if they eventually turn into bear flags like that. But see, you got resistance up around $28. So that's really your next big level. And then I guess support with this most recent low you put in around 23. So those are a lot of the takers I wanted to talk about. Let's reorganize. I'm gonna watch this right now. So yeah, drop taker requests in the chat and I'll take a look. These are about 10 minutes delayed, but your NASDAQ futures are still up over 1%. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Link to join the free Discord is in the description. The free course is in the description. And if you have anything on TradingView you want me to take a look at, drop it in the chat right now. Nothing I say is financial advice. And MARA was up 14% today. Zeke has been talking about this all week. Great job with it. Yeah, great price action. Broke out of a wedge, had made nice golden retrace with hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour. Also had this little zone over here, broke out to the upside. And yeah, right now I think the next big level is around 1430. Then you've got a gap fill at 1552. In terms of support, it's probably this previous resistance around 1230-ish. You are a little bit overbought on the 1 hour right now. If we go to even lower time frames, maybe you get some classic bearish divergence form. So it is a little bit overbought, like low time frames, but larger time frames, you did get a nice breakout move. Let me actually look at the daily. I don't know. It's kind of like a weird looking daily chart, to be honest. Like there's a lot of different ways you can interpret this, like potential head and shoulders like that, or a wedge breakout. that horribly. 1 second, something like that. I'm just drawing these roughly, but yeah, you can definitely see the momentum has shifted very quickly. You do have some historical resistance between like 14 to 15, 16 bucks in that area. I have a few different levels charted out there, but yeah, good move today. The guy says Apple event mid. I think so as well. Yeah, the watch was cool. I don't know how well a $800 watch is going to sell though. We just looked at that. The watch, yeah. So the Ultra watch, whatever, that was cool. A lot of cool new features. The AirPods Pro, the new AirPod Pros, I really didn't get what the big difference was. The iPhone 14, really nothing that different. I think it's just like a larger battery maybe, and then the new like the satellite, the emergency satellite thing is cool. And I feel like it sounds bad to say this, but that's not like a day-to-day improvement. Hopefully you're not going to be using that every single day or at all. But I did like the new what they call it, the dynamic, that new like thing at the top of the 14 Pro, and camera improvements. It just feels like the same thing every year. I feel like there hasn't been any big innovation. You could see a lot of people with the same opinions all over social media. Just, I think even like aesthetically, I would just like to see a new looking iPhone. Like, I feel like they're trying to do all these things with like the chips and the cameras and the batteries, which is good. It's very important. But I just feel like physical change would just be cool. And I feel like that's actually easier to implement than like improving these chips to these crazy new levels and these cameras and all that stuff. I feel like just simply changing up the design a little bit shouldn't be that hard, but they just, I guess they have a lot of people in marketing that feel that maybe they just gotta keep it consistent, whatever it is, but I don't know. The guy says they should pull a Call of Duty and take a year off. He didn't say the Call of Duty part, but take a year off and release every other year. Yeah, I feel like with a lot of just, yeah, basically I made that Call of Duty reference because I think now Call of Duty is, I don't know if it's every other year now or something like that, but they used to release them every year. I don't think they're doing that anymore. This song's throwing me off. But yeah, I feel like I want to see change. All right, it's time for change. However, I mean, I'm not saying they need to make like a flip phone iPhone like how these other brands are starting to do that. Just look a little bit different. All right. There's my Apple rant. And what's up, Cheddar Freeze in the chat? Thank you again for doing that merch giveaway. So let's go and take a look at IONQ, which is just back in this, or it's nearing this support area. So these are some shorter term levels. I don't see much of a pattern here. If you go down to lower time frames, it's kind of harmonic looking. It's kind of like a mix of a bat and Gartley. I mean, I guess if you extend it like this, it's kind of the same thing because then the B point shallow, so whatever. But you do have this wedge forming here on the 4 hour, so keep an eye on that. And you kind of simultaneously back in this, again, that zone I talked about on the daily while testing that. And then we have Solo, which broke out of a wedge, went up 50% to be fair. I mean, it looks like nothing compared to how much it sold off, but it still was a decent move off the breakout. At least percent wise, Fibonacci wise, I don't even think that's not even like a 23%. It's not even the first fib level. Like if we go from its highs down to here, like 236, this is crazy. And this is not just Solo, to be fair. This is a lot of other stocks. For it to make its first Fibonacci retrace will be a 240% move. It's just insane, but yeah. And then more shorter term, it actually kind of looks similar to that last chart we were looking at, IONQ, with like this 4 hour wedge forming like that, and then it's just back near like a previous, or it's nearing a previous support zone from earlier this year, and it's slightly or close oversold on the 4 hour. FIGS. This could be looked at as a triangle pattern. So just see whichever way it breaks. You chart it a couple different ways, but I chart it like that. Hidden bullish divergence on the daily. These are a couple levels. And then after that, it's like all the way up here. So those are your levels. That's your triangle pattern. And then GSAT, it went up a lot, it went down a lot. Not much I can do here. I mean, you have support, and I guess it's kind of already testing it, but this high from March, it's now being tested as support in this little zone over here. It even dates back to October of last year and even May of last year. So this like mid $1 level is pretty big. Other than that, if we zoom out, like you have like this mid level over here, but really the whole entire chart is just like one huge range. Like that's like the bottom of your range, or really you could just look at it like this. That's the bottom of your range, and then this is the top of your range, and you're just kind of in this, it's not literally the middle of the range, but it's kind of this area within the range where you keep testing. So that's really what it is. Pretty interesting chart. And yeah, any other take requests, let me know. Drop them in the chat, and I will take a look. I can't believe it feels like it's only been like 15 minutes and it's been 40 minutes. I must have been talking about the market forever. But hey, like I said on the last stream, that's like the main focus right now, just seeing what the overall market decides to do. Yeah. Make sure to hit the like button if you didn't already. Microsoft. Like longer term, it's kind of like this big triangle forming. A little bit of hidden bullish divergence on the daily. Whoa!
I missed the last few day trades in premium. Hope we get a good one tomorrow. Vibes.
I hope so too. Corey, thank you very much for the $25 tip. Let's get some vibes in the chat. First tip in a while from Corey Claft. Appreciate it. Appreciate you supporting in premium as well. And yeah, I'm going to try my best tomorrow. Lotto Friday tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And you missed last few day trades. They were pretty nice, to be fair. I was talking about it in the beginning of the stream, but these are like 7 of the last day. I didn't share the newest one from today went up 50%. It's not on this picture though, because I sent this yesterday. But yeah, it's been a nice little run in day trades lately. So hopefully we keep the run going. We've had a few like 10+ win streaks this year. We're at 8 wins in a row right now. I'm hoping I can get at least a few more, so we can add to that list of 10 win streaks. But we'll see. You know, nothing's ever certainty. Well, one thing is kind of certainty. At some point, there's going to be a failed trade again, so that's why it's always important to manage risk. But again, let's knock on wood. Let's hope it doesn't come for a while. But prepare like it can always come, because it will. So yeah, thank you again for the tip. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Microsoft triangle forming. It does have resistance at 263.5 from this high last April. Even though it's not really regarding that level much short term, I'd say like more short term, it's this level to focus on, because that was your highs from like the summer kind of, and it's also a little bit of a gap fill around 268. And then if we zoom in a little bit, you can maybe chart a supply line like that, and we'll see what happens. So I think we'll leave it at that. Solid stream tonight. I feel like we got a lot of work done. Looked at a lot of charts that we haven't looked at in a while. Hopefully it helps out, and we'll see what happens. So have a good weekend. If you trade tomorrow, good luck. Join the Discord, links in the description, and have a good night as well. Peace out.